Well, I hope the open made you laugh because now is about making you money. In fact, the next 2 hours have one simple mission, and that's to help you make your 2017 new business goals easily. We love healthcare. We've been talking about this category as the big opportunity since 2008, and many of you know why. It's the fastest growing part of our economy. Doctors and other medical practices are looking for new services to increase the revenue that they're bringing to their practices. And doctors no longer view advertising as evil because they're seeing so many examples of other docs doing it now. When we first started making calls in this category, we had lots and lots of docs who thought it was unprofessional to advertise. Thankfully, today, not so much. But the biggest reason we love this category is because this is a group that's not afraid to spend money to make money. And as we've said many, many times in this category, CPP stands for cost per patient. Hi everyone, Jim Doyle here. Excited to welcome you to Code Red, a program all about increasing your billing in 2017. And we all know about 2017, the year without the Olympics, without political, although that might be good for some of us. It's a year when we're all going to be judged, every one of us, by how well we do with new business. So today is all about helping you make your new business budget easily in one of the most lucrative categories ever. So what can you expect in the next couple of hours? Well, first, ideas. Tom Ray and Pat Norris are on deck to tell you all about new categories, new treatments that doctors are offering. These are the things that people are starting to take to market right now. Plus, as an extra bonus, we're going to recap some of the best ideas from last year's conference. These are ideas that have already had impact on AE billing. AEs all over the country have already closed sales in these categories. So that's a great way to find high opportunity prospects. Our goal is to give you some actionable prospects that you can work immediately. But as they say at the end of the infomercials, but wait, there's more. This is a complex category to sell. Sales cycles are long. Getting to the decision maker can be hard. Even finding out who the decision maker isn't always simple. So today, we're taking our deepest dive ever into healthcare selling strategies. We're calling these segments Med Talks. You've heard of TED Talks? Well, Med Talks have the same idea. Short 10-minute segments that will make you think. They'll be hosted by Jim Doyle and Associates President John Hannon. But it's not just John alone. To help, we've sought out experts and healthcare professionals to gain their insights about selling in this category. We've got people like Jim Severin, the National Sales Manager of Hollister Medical, David Finney, the CEO of Ohio Medical, a company that sells medical devices. Both these guys are 30-year players in the medical sales profession. And then we found the guru. Mace Horoff is actually the guru of medical sales. That's the name of his podcast. He wrote the book on selling to healthcare. It's called Mastering Medical Sales, the Essential Attitudes, Habits, and Skills of High-Earning Medical Professionals. He's got some great insights for us. In fact, let me give you just a sample.
It's creating that curiosity and making it compelling enough that the doctor will let you in, even though the doctor probably has the full intention of saying no to you. And again, managing that risk. They're looking for a way to say no, but you've made him curious enough where he wants to find out what it is you're offering. This a lot of times will get you in front of the doctor. But once you're in front of the doctor, again, this is where your selling skills have to be up to par to be able to, again, get into the doctor's head a little bit about what's important to him. You know, create some curiosity, create some jealousy, again, appeal to the need, greed, and fear. The fear that maybe they're not practicing at a level that some of their colleagues are. Need, this is something they need in their practice because it's been proven that the patients benefit, that the practice benefits, that they will have a better standing in the community. And of course, greed, again, to the positive side of that, in that it helps to keep their practice profitable so that they can continue to give their patients the type of care that they'd like them to have.
Plus, here's a Tom Ray idea that I think is very cool. Tom has interviewed 2 TV account executives that have been on both sides of medical and media. David McCormick from WHSV went from broadcast sales to 10 years in pharmaceutical sales. Now he's back in TV. And Lisa Pritchard from KCRG in Cedar Rapids. She was a practice manager in a medical practice. Then she went to pharmaceutical sales and now selling broadcast and digital. So we've got a lot of insights for you, more than ever, on how effective AEs can penetrate this category. So fasten your seatbelt. The next 2 hours are designed to help you not only get great ideas, but to get way, way smarter in this category. We're so excited and grateful that you're part of Code Red. So let's get started. It's time for our first Med Talk. So here's the president of Jim Doyle and Associates, John Hannon.
Before we dig into the nuts and bolts of securing healthcare advertising dollars, it's important for me to give you a quick overview of the state of healthcare, specifically what the care providers are experiencing now. There is an air of uncertainty thanks to the Affordable Health Care Act. The situation becomes even more uncertain with an administration change. Still, rates in 2017 are expected to rise about 22%, but it's not yet known if the subsidies will keep pace with the rate increases. The medical community is keeping a close eye on this as their patient volume and a patient's ability to pay could be negatively affected. The last day for individuals to sign up for the Affordable Health Care Act is January 31st next year. Medicaid and Medicare patients are becoming a larger percentage of the patient base. This is important to understand as Medicaid, for example, only reimburses the doctor at 40%. So for every $100 billed, the doctor's office only receives $40, no negotiation. Contrast this with private insurance that could pay as much as 70 or 80% of the bill. They negotiate a $100 invoice from the doctor's office to $80. The insurance company pays $60 and you pay $20 out of pocket. But private insurance is leveraging. They're saying when compared to Medicaid's low reimbursable, private insurance no longer wants to pay those high percentages, and doctors' offices are ill-equipped for that negotiation. Hospitals and medical groups are consolidating, and as a result, doctors are making less money, and care expectations in many instances are unreasonable. Regardless of the sickness or the injury, regular and critical care physicians are expected to spend about 10 minutes with each patient. And that includes 2 to 3 minutes of updating electronic medical records. Today's doctor is expected to see a minimum number of patients daily. It's all about volume. So, where are the opportunities for you as a digital and television sales professional? Well, the heavy Medicaid patient doctors, typically family physicians, will go into a larger metro for an extended weekend, somewhere like Washington, D.C., Miami, Dallas, maybe Los Angeles. There, they will get trained on a new procedure like administering Botox or Dysport. Or possibly, they purchased a new machine and are getting qualified in a procedure like Sculpture, fat reduction, which you'll hear about later from Tom and Pat. These doctors are simply looking to add a cash procedure to the practice to offset the losses in the other side of the building. Let's listen as Star TV account executive and former medical practice manager Lisa Pritchard offers her voice of experience on the topic.
Healthcare is a rapidly changing landscape. There are few practices that are just a single doctor practice or a single provider practice. Most of them are part of large healthcare systems. The goal, of course, is to make money. So how do they make money? Well, in the current environment with affordable care, what you're seeing across the board are reimbursement rates that are very low. You're having a small percentage of the population basically carry the load for a larger percentage of the population. So a practice that may once have staked its success on the number of patients is now looking at how do I make money from a profitable standpoint, not just growing my number of patients. How do I do that? Well, I look at things that aren't necessarily covered by insurance, things like elective procedures that are paid for by cash. So I can completely bypass the insurance and that really, really frustrating monster that insurance has become for the provider.
With new services or new devices or additions to the practice, how are doctors going to make money if no one knows about these new services or additions? They aren't. That's where you, as the marketing professional, enters the picture. Many medical professionals are fed up with the limitations that accompany work contracts after hospital or medical group consolidation. Those with an entrepreneurial vein leave and hang their own shingle working for themselves. In the case of surgeons, some will combine and open a surgery center many times with an eye shot of the hospital. Insurance companies love them as they charge less for their surgeries than hospitals do. And many, because of the move, now make more money and see less patients, but get to spend more time with the patients they see. So as a marketing professional, where do you fit in? Well, if someone is having a party and they don't send out invitations, who shows up? Nobody. These doctors that have made a career change have to get the word out into the community. And in today's mega competitive environment, a bottom page corner ad in the local newspaper stating Dr. Smith has moved from the hospital to 3rd Street, that's not going to cut it. And now a word of caution. If you assume that every doctor and every practice wants to increase their number of patients, you're making a huge mistake. If that's how you're going in the door, you need to pump the brakes. The medical industry's premier sales trainer, Mace Horoff, has more.
Right now, 81% of the doctors who responded said that they are already at full capacity. In fact, they're over capacity. They can't accept any more patients. They can't work any harder. 19% of the physicians surveyed said that they can accept more patients. So if you look at it from a purely a patient growth standpoint, the vast majority of surgeons or physicians or healthcare professionals aren't looking to see more patients. They're not looking to work more. What they're looking for are ways to streamline what they do and to be more successful, more profitable, to be able to deliver better quality care with the patient population that they already have.
Did you catch what Mace said? Nearly 80% of the doctors have all the patients they can handle. So unless your advertising conversation is about new procedures or practice additions or changes, you only have a 1 in 5 shot that more patients will be your advertising point of entry with the medical office. Former pharmaceutical sales rep, in fact, 10 years of experience in medical sales, and now Star TV sales rep David McCormick has a pretty unique way to know if a medical office needs patients before he even has a conversation with the gatekeepers or doctor.
You could even call and ask, how long will it be before I can get an appointment? As a patient, you could ask that actually on a phone call without even necessarily them knowing you're in the media, but just see how long it would take for a new patient to get an appointment with that practice. If they say, we've got an opening tomorrow or the next day, you might have a good idea that that's somebody that you can probably not only get an appointment with a physician because he's not as busy, but that probably needs your help because he doesn't have a full patient load.
Whether it's new procedures, practice changes, or a need to grow patients, you need to speak in the language that gets the doctor's attention. David Finney, CEO of Ohio Medical, explains.
Well, outcomes is been around, maybe a word that's been around in healthcare for a while, but it certainly has been capitalized and bolded and underlined under the guise of the new healthcare law, to the degree where if, in fact, a patient gets discharged from the hospital and has to be readmitted for the same condition, that the hospital is not going to get reimbursed a second time for taking care of them. And that's just one example of why hospitals and caregivers are so focused on patient outcomes these days. So that's a big buzzword in the healthcare community. And the more your clientele understands that, I think that'll help them.
Patient outcomes. It's a phrase that should be used liberally in your medical advertising conversations. We'll discuss more about patient outcomes later in the show.
Okay, it's time to get into some hot new leads for you to call on. And in our first set of leads, we're going to go right for the low-hanging fruit.
No doubt, Tom. If there are a couple of categories we see in practically every market we go to, it's cosmetics and weight loss. These are healthcare mainstays that are perfect for television and digital. Perfect for these reasons. The target is typically the baby boomer female, which is right in our wheelhouse, and nothing matches the visual and emotional advantage we can deliver both on air and online.
And perfect because there's plenty of doctors and practices who are fed up with declining insurance reimbursements who are looking to replace lost revenues with these types of private pay procedures. Now, last year we told you about Cool Sculpting, Aqua Lipo, and the Lila Strawberry Laser, to name a few. Pat,
What's the latest in body contouring?
Tom, how about 25 minutes to thin? It's called Sculpture, the world's first FDA-cleared laser treatment for non-invasive reduction of stubborn fat. No needles, no numbing are required, and it's a permanent fat cell reduction. The procedure takes 25 minutes, is minimally painful, and requires no downtime. Clinical trials show an average of 24% reduction in fat volume just after a single treatment. It's FDA approved, and one claims 1 to 2 belt notches in a single treatment. Let's take a look at Sculpture Creative.
With Sculpture, we now have our first FDA-cleared laser that can melt fat. One of the most amazing things about Sculpture is the fact that it is truly non-invasive, meaning there is no downtime. They sit for 25 minutes. We're reducing up to 24% of the fat in that area. That fat is reduced over a period of a few weeks to a few months, and we get a predictable result and such happy patients afterwards.
Wow, I love the value proposition. 24% fat reduction in 25 minutes is specific and memorable. Now, Sculpture will run the patient about $1,500 per treatment, and because it's cosmetic, it is private pay. To find a provider in your market, go to sculpture.com and click on the Find a Provider tab. Note how it's spelled, sculpture.com. One other heads up on this one is that Sculpture has been put to the test on both Dr. Oz and the doctors with very favorable outcomes. You can watch these features on the Sculpture website or find them on YouTube. Just search Sculpture Dr. Oz. Very impressive. Tom?
Great lead to get us started. So let's stay in the body contouring arena. And our next lead promises life without dimples and is something called Selfina. The Selfina system is the only FDA-cleared, minimally invasive procedure clinically proven to improve the appearance of cellulite for at least 2 years, the longest FDA-cleared duration for a cellulite treatment. The Selfina cellulite treatment is a one-time treatment and typically takes less than an hour and is performed right in the physician's office. Results are visible in as little as 3 days, and those results are still evident 2 years after treatment. Let's take a look at some creative.
For years, women have searched for a real solution to eliminate cellulite. Wilmington Dermatology is proud to introduce Selfina, a cutting-edge, FDA-approved, one-time treatment that actually eliminates the root cause of cellulite. Say goodbye to your cover-up. We always strive to put your best face forward, and now we have your back. Call to schedule your appointment today.
Okay, the cellulite-free treatment will set you back anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. It's been featured on Good Morning America, The Meredith Vieira Show, Extra, and The Doctors. Visit Selfina.com and click on the Media Buzz tab to watch those features. And click on Find a Doctor to see who is eliminating cellulite dimples near you. Pat?
Okay, here's a hot cosmetic trend that's just starting to catch on in the U.S., although it's been popular worldwide for some time. It's called microblading. It's a new eyebrow tattoo technique that fills and reshapes brows by drawing tiny lines that look like individual hairs. Microblading is also known by other names: micropigmentation, dermal implantation, microstroking, eyebrow embroidery, and long-lasting makeup all refer to the permanent cosmetic tattooing. Now, in this procedure, you get a manual tattoo made with a dedicated tool that looks like a slender X-Acto knife, but it isn't a blade at all. Artists arrange tiny needles so they can make small incisions in the skin with the tool's tip depending on the thickness and depth of the hair strokes they want to create. It's an artful process that can take around 2 hours, as each hair is meticulously tattooed individually. It's a semi-permanent tattoo, which will require touch-up every couple of years. The cost is anywhere from $400 to $1,400 depending on your location and the skill of the tattoo artist. But no matter what anybody says, eyebrow tattoos are not FDA approved. Now, there does exist, though, the Society of Permanent Cosmetic Professionals, representing professionals offering cosmetic tattooing that meet safety standards specific to the permanent cosmetic process. The SPCP does have a website that has a Find a Technician function. Visit spcp.org. The Society of Permanent Cosmetic Professionals, spcp.org. Start there to see who in your market is a member and find out if they do microblading.
Okay, let's talk about Botox. I know we've talked in the past about Botox to smooth wrinkles. Last year we told you how Botox is being used to treat migraines. In fact, this year you've seen national advertising for Botox as a chronic migraine treatment on the national morning shows. Well, now Botox has recently been FDA approved as a treatment for upper and lower limb spasticity or muscle stiffness. Botox was first approved as a treatment for upper limb muscle stiffness in the elbow, wrist, fingers, or thumb. And as of this year, it's now FDA approved for lower limb spasticity, stiffness in the ankles and toes. Spasticity affects about 1 million people in the United States. And there's a special website for Botox as a treatment for upper and lower limb spasticity at BotoxULS.com. On that site is a Find a Botox Specialist tab. And many insurance plans cover Botox treatment for patients with upper and lower limb spasticity. And there's more than one way to get help for paying for Botox therapy. It's called the Botox Savings Card. This program is designed to help when out-of-pocket costs are typically highest. Now, all health plans are different, but many people tend to pay more out of pocket until they've reached their deductible. That's why the program offers greater savings at the beginning of the year, up to $1,000 per treatment in first quarter. So now is the time to seek out the Botox specialist in your market. Make sure you ask about the Botox Savings Card. It may make sense to advertise sooner in the year when incentives are greater, and you're going to want to include that in any creative. Learn more at BotoxSavingsCard.com. Pat?
Botox, not just for wrinkles anymore. Okay, let's shift our focus from cosmetics to weight loss. From Weight Watchers to Jenny Craig, Slim Fast to Nutrisystem, television has been the go-to medium for weight loss products and systems. Here's one of the hottest weight loss programs today, Nutrimost. Nutrimost is a unique approach to weight loss with all natural supplements. Their wellness and weight loss plan focuses on healthy, natural food choices versus powerful chemicals found in highly processed, manufactured, and refined foods. Nutrimost offers professionally supervised plans created for each individual, and they have a guarantee. Here's an example of creative.
Imagine 40 short days from now, you 20 to 50 pounds lighter, finally confident to do all the things you want. Sound good? Then start now with Nutrimost, the groundbreaking technology that will fix your metabolism.
I was eating a low-calorie diet and gaining weight and not knowing why. Now I do know why. I was out of balance.
Go to NutrimostSarasota.com and hear how thousands of lives have already been transformed right here in Sarasota. Results are guaranteed. Lose the weight and keep it off with Nutrimost.
Okay, pretty standard stuff, a strong testimonial and the promise of 20 to 40 pounds in 40 days guaranteed. Look, we all make our New Year's resolution to lose weight, so right now is the time to get in front of your local Nutrimost partner to talk about a January start. There's plenty of Nutrimost video on YouTube. Do your research and then visit Nutrimost.com to find your local provider. Tom?
Well, Pat, here's a weight loss solution that's a little more dramatic. It's something called Aspire Assist. The Aspire Assist is a new, FDA-approved weight loss solution for people with obesity. And unlike many other obesity weight loss procedures, it's non-surgical and reversible. Let's take a look at their online promotional video.
If you're watching this video, chances are you've tried to lose weight before. Maybe you've succeeded for a while, but gained it right back when life got in the way. You're desperate to find a solution, but you've tried all sorts of diets and you're frightened by invasive, permanent surgical procedures. Well, now there's an exciting new way with the Aspire Assist, an FDA-approved weight loss solution developed by 3 world-renowned physicians. With the Aspire Assist, you can eat normal, healthy meals with your friends and family. Afterwards, in the privacy of a restroom, the device lets you remove up to 1/3 of the food you eat through a small tube in your belly. For it to work properly, you'll need to chew carefully and eat slowly. This also helps give time for the fullness signals from your stomach to reach your brain before you've eaten too much. The Aspire Assist procedure is minimally invasive, completely reversible, and takes just 15 minutes. It's usually done with twilight sedation instead of general anesthesia, so you can go home within a couple hours and get back to your busy life quickly. Your healthcare team will provide counseling and support to help you learn mindful, healthy eating habits. And you don't have to do it solo. There's an online community to support and motivate you on your weight loss journey. The proof is in the results of our many inspiring success stories. There are risks with any medical procedure, so be sure to discuss these with your doctor. So are you ready to take control of your life? Give us a call at 1-844-YES-ASPIRE to start your journey today.
Okay, this sounds completely crazy, doesn't it? In fact, Stephen Colbert called it machine-assisted abdominal vomiting. And he has a pretty funny segment on this device on YouTube. All kidding aside, however, the data on this device is actually quite good. A year-long study followed 111 people using this device and 60 who did not. At the conclusion of the study, those using Aspire Assist lost 12% of their body weight, and those without the device, only 3%. Again, this procedure just received its FDA approval in June of this year, and it was the subject of much ridicule online and on the air. It would seem that any physician who offers this alternative would want to get the word out. Read the article on health.com. It does a great job of diffusing all the negative feedback. Aspire Assist will cost around $10,000, which is quite a difference from the $30,000 plus for traditional bariatric surgery. Visit AspireBariatrics.com. There is a Find a Physician tab. Pat?
Okay, thank you, Tom. We've got plenty more brand new leads to share, but right now, let's get another Med Talk with John Hannon.
As many of you may have already experienced, the healthcare category has a long sales cycle. How long? Well, unless they urgently need what you're selling, or maybe you have an event or show special where you have calendar leverage, the sales cycle is likely going to be longer than any category you are currently prospecting. If you're thinking 90 days, think 9 months. I presented the how long is the sales cycle question to Mace Horoff.
The sales cycle is going to be related directly to the strength of your value proposition. If it's something that they consider to be important and urgent, they will find the money for it. Now, when you start getting into larger corporate-owned practices, a lot of hospital corporations have bought practices. There are groups which buy out physician practices and operate. A lot of times the decision making, especially if it's not a clinical decision, is pulled away from the physicians. So then you're going to go into whatever the revenue cycle is for that particular company. But keep this in mind. Despite the fact that a lot of physicians are becoming employees, and in fact, the latest survey of 2014, where they surveyed over 500,000 physicians, 53% of the physicians in 2014 were employees. So decisions about products and services that are used are being made somewhere else. But here's the thing. These companies still know that the doctors are important in keeping their physicians happy, because the physicians are ultimately who bring the patients into the practice or keep the patients there once they're in. So the squeaky wheel does get the grease. If you have a doctor who wants something and wants it now, if he is able to present, again, a compelling reason for them to consider this now, it will get moved up in the revenue cycle. So it's really hard to answer what the sales cycle is for any product or any service. But there is a lot of adaptability based on how important and how urgent it is to the end user.
Mace agrees. The sales cycle can be long, but the payoff for you can be huge. As Jim mentioned in the open, this CPP is cost per patient. And if handled correctly, the close in this category will be substantially larger than any of your current average closes. So why is the sales cycle so long? Well, for one, this isn't retail, so they don't have inventory to move. And the large majority are not used to advertising yet, so they may be reluctant to make a decision.
One of the things that's tricky about the medical field is, at least as far as media, is that depending on if any of their other fellow doctors in the community are advertising, that is a decision they won't make lightly. If they're going to be the first of their category to start advertising, they're going to take some time, and that's probably going to be a multi-call presentation and close. If they've seen their competitors and colleagues on TV, as we have with many dentists and orthodontists and even chiropractors, then they're much more quickly going to make a decision. But if they think they're going to be the first guy in the market to be on TV, they're going to be a lot slower with that decision.
David makes a great point about the sales cycle stretching out thanks to a physician's fear of being the first to advertise. In these situations, you can speed up the sales cycle by being continuously armed with case studies and proof of performance stories to help remove the risk for the decision maker. Likely, the biggest reason the sales cycle is longer in the healthcare category is because of the multi-levels of buying influencers and gatekeepers. These individuals make it their mission to prevent any unneeded intrusion into the care provider's already overpacked schedule. That's why it's imperative for you to have a gatekeeper plan. But before we discuss your plan, let me ask you a fill-in-the-blank question. When you know the answer, shout it out. You ready? Getting blank the gatekeeper. Again, getting blank the gatekeeper. I think I heard very faintly, some of you said getting past the gatekeeper. Well, not too long ago, that answer would have been correct. However, at Jim Doyle & Associates, we have discovered that in today's competitive sales landscape, especially in this category with time-starved decision makers, if you try to sneak past these important influencers, you'll get cut off at the ankles and ruin your chances of building a relationship with that person and with the doctor. That's why we suggest getting beside or getting with the gatekeeper. Again, that's getting beside or getting with the gatekeeper. David McCormick has more.
So one of the big differences is in pharmaceuticals, you can't get past the gatekeeper. You have to work with the gatekeeper. And really, to me, it's the same in media sales. If you try to get around the gatekeeper, you're going to find that they're just going to continue to block you. And that goes even so far as to they have to know that you have something in it for the doctor, because they're very protective of those physicians. And the physicians are very hard on those gatekeepers if they're not protective of them. So you do need to definitely engage with that person. You will not succeed going around them. At the same time, you will not succeed simply presenting to them. That creates a whole nother issue as far as getting time and value to the doctor when you want to present.
As you get to know the stakeholders, influencers, and gatekeepers, it is very important to not get lulled into a false sense of security. Salespeople sometimes will take the path of least resistance and call only on those individuals that are easy to access. As a result, they feel comfortable presenting to individuals that have no influence on the final sale. It's okay to tilt your hand to the gatekeeper, but give them just enough that they feel comfortable getting you in front of the decision maker.
You have to give enough information to the receptionist, whether it's your creative idea or a general idea of what sponsorship or opportunity that you have or what you're trying to provide the doctor. That would be one of the big things. What's the value proposition in it for the doctor without getting to the specifics? But you have to create enough interest in the gatekeeper to want to give you that appointment, as you will have to get to the doctor and do the presentation. But if you give too much information to the gatekeeper, then you don't have anything to hold in your back pocket, let's say, for the presentation. Then the gatekeeper may say something like, well, that's great, that sounds fantastic, leave me your information and I'll give it to the doctor. So you have to somehow have a way to let that person know that I have more to offer and I have more to tell you, but I really can't do it without the doctor here, or I'm going to need a few minutes with the doctor to lay this out, because it doesn't translate well if I just put it on paper, or it doesn't. I can't really get that across in just a handout. Can I get a few minutes with the doctor to make this presentation? It'll be great for him because. It'll be great for the patient because. And that's how you have to get around that.
Don't make the mistake of assuming there's just one gatekeeper between you and the decision maker. To speed up the sales cycle, make sure to identify all the players as early as possible in the process. And if you don't know who these individuals are, just ask. There are a few additional things you can do to shorten the healthcare sales cycle. The first is plan on shorter meetings, but more of them. Decision makers in this category don't have time to sit for 45 minutes while you conduct a diagnosis call. In fact, pharmaceutical reps, if they're lucky, get 3 to 5 minutes with a doctor. So you need to prep, do your research, and rely upon others in the medical office to answer general questions before you get to the meeting with the doctor. That way, you can get credit for your research and you don't waste his or her time. Secondly, it's important to close something at every meeting. It can be a creative thought, a digital explanation, programming targets, or even research. For example, you may have discovered a particular zip code in your DMA has experienced substantial growth in families with kids. Maybe the area is a great target for geofencing, ortho services for a multi-doc dental practice. Closing something on every call advances the sale and conditions both of you when it's time for the ultimate big ask.
Welcome to our first Mega Payday Spotlight of the show. Many of you watching today participated in last year's Healthcare Mega Payday, where we delivered over 50 healthcare leads. For those of you who didn't participate last year, here's the good news. We're giving you access to last year's show for free as part of your participation today. We want to make sure you have those money makers from last year. And for those of you who did participate last year, we encourage you to revisit those leads, especially with the new healthcare selling skills you're acquiring today. There's plenty to dive into from last year, and in this spotlight section, we want to focus on 3 of our favorite leads. And what makes them our favorites? Well, these are just a few of the leads that many of you closed. Our first is something called Orbera. And ironically, it was the very first lead we shared in last year's show. Orbera is the weight loss procedure where a balloon is sent down your throat and into your stomach. The balloon is then inflated so you always feel full. We were very high on this lead because it had just received its FDA approval in 2015. Well, we've heard from several AEs around the country that went to Orbera.com, found their local provider, and helped them with television and digital campaigns. One success story in particular comes to us from Lafayette, Louisiana, and healthcare superstar AE, Leela John. Leela took the Orbera lead and found Acadiana weight loss surgery there in Lafayette and got him on the air. Let's look at the creative.
Many of us struggle to lose weight. We exercise, we eat healthier, we try to stay active. But for many of us, it's simply not enough. Introducing Orbera, the new non-surgical weight loss procedure. People lost more than 3 times the weight with Orbera than diet and exercise alone. Orbera is not for those who are pregnant or breastfeeding, have autoimmune or organ disease. Heartburn, stomach discomfort, abdominal pain, and bowel obstruction are rare.
To see if Orbera is right for you, contact Acadiana Weight Loss Surgery.
Leela reports that the client spent about $5,000 a month using mostly Morning News, Dr. Oz, Wheel of Fortune. The first month, the client booked 10 procedures and had follow-up on 40 more. At somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 per surgery, I'd say that's a pretty good ROI. The campaign worked so well, it had to be suspended so the client could catch up on surgeries. Well, check out their website, LouisianaGastricBalloon.com. It's a robust site with videos, a BMI calculator, and plenty of success stories. Then go revisit Orbera.com and find your local provider. Pat.
If you're a man who suffers from sexual dysfunction, there are currently over 20 FDA-approved drugs and treatments that might help, and we see them advertised on television all the time. But what about female sexual dysfunction? Well, there are far fewer treatments and options. Our next spotlight lead is something we presented last year called Mona Lisa Touch, a simple, safe, and virtually painless in-office procedure that's helping women all across the country. And we're hearing from markets across the country who are having advertising success with this procedure with both television and digital strategies like SEM and geo-targeting. We've learned of new Mona Lisa Touch clients from Fresno, California to West Palm Beach, Florida, and many points in between. In fact, I was recently in Tucson, Arizona, and learned of this incredible story. Superstar AE Tony Gonzalez prospected Genesis OB/GYN right there in Tucson when he learned of their Mona Lisa Touch partnership. With a television and digital strategy, Tony began a campaign earlier this year. Let's check out the creative.
The Mona Lisa Touch is changing women's lives.
I am so grateful and so excited. I'm telling all my friends about it. You get that really important part of your relationship with your husband back. And all of a sudden, now you have the joy back again, which is priceless.
The Mona Lisa Touch, now available in Tucson at Ironwood OB/GYN. Find out how the Mona Lisa Touch can change your life.
Simple, powerful patient testimonial. So in addition to television campaign, Tony utilizes retargeted mobile ads the 2 weeks leading up to each open house in combination with a KVOA.com wallpaper the day before the open houses. Well, here's what Genesis practice manager Kim Lohman had to say. We started our campaign 5 months ago. Since then, our open houses have filled up on a regular basis. Within 2 months, we were able to pay off our Mona Lisa equipment about $150,000, and every month, all of our offices grow. Mona Lisa Touch is adding doctors across the country daily, so if you haven't had the success with this lead yet, it's definitely worth another try. Visit MonaLisaTouch.com, enter the patient section, and click on the Find a Doctor navigation. Well, we've also recently learned of another FDA-approved vaginal treatment called Femilift Laser. Same category, same value proposition. Visit Femilift.com and click on Find a Practitioner. Tom?
Thanks, Pat. Great story. Our final lead in this spotlight section is the PicoSure Tattoo Removal Laser. This is another procedure AEs have been sharing success stories about all year, from brides-to-be to maturing moms to military prospects. As much as 20% of the 45 million Americans with tattoos are looking to come clean. And lots of advertising dollars are being spent to attract those audiences. And speaking of military, we were recently in Lawton, Oklahoma, home of U.S. Army Post Fort Sill and 20,000 military personnel. Superstar AE Susie Johnson alerted us to the newest in laser tattoo removal. It's something called Enlighten. Enlighten was released after the PicoSure and has the ability to remove without scarring in as little as 1 session and do multiple colors in one treatment. Susie's client, Clean Canvas Tattoo Removal, reports that since she started advertising, it's not been uncommon for her to have clients of the PicoSure provider call her to finish up the removals. Enlighten touts an average 3 to 6 fewer treatments needed than other laser tattoo removal equipment. Let's take a look at her creative.
Forever doesn't have to be forever. Clean Canvas offers tattoo removal procedures using the most advanced FDA-approved laser technology available. Contact Clean Canvas today to start your tattoo removal process.
Pretty straightforward, but effective. Revisit the PicoSure laser at picosure.com and check out the Enlighten laser at their manufacturer's site, Qterra.com. There's a great amount of tattoo removal data in a section called Inkformation, and there is a provider locator. Pat?
Well, we'll have another Mega Payday Spotlight later in the show to highlight more home runs from last year's event. But for now, here's John with another Med Talk.
But not that long ago, it wasn't really necessary to promote your practice. You pretty much had people walked in and you took them, okay? But now with the way the payment system is working, you know, these metrics that the payments are tied to, you've got a lot of, I think, more progressive doctors that do want to advertise and promote their services. So it's changed. And I think that gatekeeper, the business manager, the marketing people will be more receptive to listening to this message now than they ever have been.
Did you connect the dots on what Jim said? Thanks to the new metrics that medical practice payments are tied to, the game has changed, and nearly everyone in the medical office is willing to at least listen to you. Now, more than ever, healthcare clients need you and the power of your digital offerings and television programming. They're willing to hear what you have to say, but allow me to add a word of advice. You need to adhere to their terms or time limitations. You need to deliver patient-centric presentations, and lastly, you have to speak in outcomes. So in prospecting healthcare clients, which do you think is the most effective means of contacting them? Is it by phone, by email, or in person? When I asked this question of our experts, they all had the same answer.
Me personally, I still always default to the face-to-face contact. It's much harder for another human being sitting across the window to say no to you when you're standing there looking them in the face and making a connection versus a nameless email amongst the thousands that they're going to get today.
The reason I like face-to-face with a medical practice is plain and simple the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is typically the first face you see when you walk into that practice. Now think about what that person has been through today. Okay, someone got a wrong appointment time. Someone has been waiting for 2 hours to see the doctor. You told me that you would do this, the doctor did this. They are bombarded with ways in which people are not happy, and there's really little or anything that they can do about it. So what I really like to do is to walk in and kind of affirm that person.
Going in person always trumps everything else, because being there, there's a lot of advantages to being there. Number one, you get a lot more insight about the practice. You're developing a relationship with different people in the practice. And, you know, for example, a lot of times when you go into a practice, you may not be able to get to see the doctor, for example. But don't stop there. If you can't get in to see the doctor, then again, take a step down in the hierarchy. Who is the next highest person you could see?
The key to prospecting healthcare is to go in person. Please don't hide behind email or phone messages. But I know as I say that, there's still some of you that will default to email to prospect because it's comfortable, it's safe, and it's non-confrontational. Don't waste your time. Here's why.
The problem with email is that doctors are extremely overwhelmed in terms of their time commitment in the practice. And also, doctors are very predisposed to getting rid of sales reps they don't know. So there's nothing easier to get rid of than a salesperson who contacts you by email. It takes a second to click the delete button, and they're gone.
The only thing email and phone efforts do is allow you to buy time hoarding an account inside the station. To the account executives watching today, you know what I'm talking about. Your manager comes around monthly asking, "What's the story on Dr. Jones?" You respond, "Well, I reached out. They haven't gotten back to me." Trust me, they're never getting back to you unless you drive over in your office on 4 wheels and you confidently walk up and knock on the door of the medical business. And yes, never forget they are a business. It's unlikely you'll get to speak with the doctor or the decision maker the first time you walk into a medical office. But there are other advantages besides getting a better eyewitness read on the environment when you show up in person. It's an opportunity to get face time and to make deposits to solidify your relationship with influencers and gatekeepers. An additional bonus is that you will likely be able to secure a few answers to diagnosis questions, as individuals tend to be more open during in-person discussions than they would be through other forms of communication. Throughout the process of building relationships with influencers, and especially during your meetings with the decision maker or the doctor, you need to speak in terms or buzzwords that will generate curiosity.
There's a lot of mandates which are coming down in healthcare today. The Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, has mandated that physicians and institutions do certain things. They have to hit certain metrics to be able to maximize their reimbursement. So if you're able to speak to these things, and if you're able to make them curious, for example, about how one of their colleagues or an institution has been able to achieve or surpass their own level of performance in their practice, that makes them curious. And that's one of the things that will generate the interest to sit down and have a conversation.
Jim Severin digs a little deeper into the topic and offers some very specific terms with which you should be familiar.
Patient acquisition, and I mean that in a good way, but patient acquisition to grow practices, and that what goes right along with that is patient retention. So these practices and caregivers are looking for continued patient acquisition. They need volume, quite honestly, through their practices because they're typically going to be billing for insurances, or if it's Medicare or Medicaid, it all depends. And that's a term we use a lot. And again, use it the right way. It's not I'm buying somebody, but I'm bringing that patient into my practice, and then I want to keep them or retain them. So those are two pretty commonly used words that we come across all the time. The third is really positive outcomes, and the fourth is patient satisfaction. Those are the four critical components in today's healthcare environment. For media, I think that's something that the media would want to focus on with a practice or a healthcare facility. And those are the kind of things that physicians would want to promote about their practices. Hospitals want to promote. We have high levels of positive patient outcomes, clinical outcomes. We've got satisfied consumers of medical products, and boy, they don't come back to the hospital. That's the win-win right there.
The terms or four pillars that you should be able to discuss with a doctor are patient acquisition, patient retention, positive outcomes, and patient satisfaction. Patient acquisition simply means an increase in patient volume or adding patients to the practice. You remember we previously mentioned that only about 20% of physicians are looking for more patients. For that reason, an even stronger discussion point is patient retention. What is the lifetime value of each new patient, and how can you, as a media professional through your digital and television offerings, help the doctor keep or hold on to these patients? These two terms are a great foundation for your return on investment discussion. They help quantify an intangible, thus removing risk in the decision-making process. Physicians and practices now want to promote their positive patient outcomes. For example, a testimonial from a patient that spent years trying to find relief for their back pain until they met Dr. Smith. Continued poor outcomes will negatively affect revenue for a doctor or hospital. Did you know that if you've been in the hospital and they release you, but you return even days later to be treated for the same illness for which you were originally treated, the hospital no longer gets paid by insurance? Insurance is saying, hey, if you didn't fix them the first time, why should we pay you for a second chance at fixing the patient? That's why outcomes are now so important to the medical community, because it affects their wallets. Patient satisfaction, the last of the four pillars, is for many also tied to compensation. That's why patient surveys are so important and why promoting the results is a good idea. Likely in your market, you started to see messages like the Central Valley's highest rated hospital in bedside manner and patient satisfaction. Stay tuned, because in our next Med Talk, we'll discuss presenting to emotional drivers.
Okay, let's continue with some more leads for you to call on, and in this section we'll focus on two more hot categories, dental and sleep. Tom?
Well, the tides of the dental profession are shifting in major ways. Those who sell to dentists need to be aware of these changes. Trends in dentistry today include having the best online presence. It's typically the front door for new patients. Today, more dentists are choosing to focus on the concept of patient-centric dentistry. Anything that can be done to make patients more comfortable while in the chair will enhance the patient experience and help them view dentistry in a more positive light. And as dentists become increasingly aware of making patients more comfortable, they're also in need of new financial solutions to offer their patients so that they can move forward with the treatment they want and need. So, what's a dental marketer to do? First, identify a unique selling proposition and home in on exactly how their practice can differentiate from the competitive landscape. Let's look at some hot new dental products and procedures that can help you offer first mover advantage in your market. Pat?
Okay, our first dental lead is something called Propel Orthodontics. Well, any adult interested in braces to improve their smile really has two concerns. How will I look with braces, and how long do I have to wear them? Propel Orthodontics promises treatment that will allow the teeth to move faster, thus shortening the time in braces. Orthodontists love this for multiple reasons. Patients are willing to pay a premium for shorter treatment. Shorter treatment means fewer visits, and fewer visits means higher profit per visit. Let's listen to what some orthodontists have to say about Propel.
Propel's impacted my practice, one, because I think patients are happier when they can go through the process quicker. Orthodontics is not a fun process to go through, and as we know as orthodontists, we do everything we can to help negate that.
Being able to take an 18-month treatment plan down to 9 months, 10 months is wonderful. And I'm capturing this whole other market, those women who are about to get married. And they say, hey doc, I'm getting married in 5 months, what can you do to me? I used to say, where have you been for the past 18 months? I can now say, hey, no problem, let me take your digital scan now, I'll have your aligners in 2 weeks, I'll propel you, and I'll get you through 20 stages of treatment in 20 weeks.
I have one gentleman that he's getting married in a few weeks, and he and his fiancée are so excited to be done with orthodontic treatment. And it's been a huge part of their discussion in preparation for their wedding that this technology has allowed them to get braces off so that they can have their wedding with no braces on their teeth.
Well, Propel provides an option for a practice to increase efficiency, improve predictability, differentiate from competitors, and an increase in profits by charging a premium for acceleration. Your job's simple. It's to get the orthodontist to understand how many more patients would choose them if they knew they could be out of braces quicker. And the creative is really very straightforward. Interested in improving your smile but are put off by the thought of spending months, even years in braces? Propel could be just right for you. Remember, any practice that offers Propel wants to use this technique. Visit propelorthodontics.com, click on the doctor locator, and you can find the provider in your market. And read the article on Propel at the proortho.com. It's called Propel Your Practice by Dr. Ray McClendon, the progressive orthodontist. It's got a great ROI demonstration that really makes a case for docs to focus on Propel. Perfect fodder for your proposal. Tom?
Another great lead, Pat. Well, let's stay in the orthodontia category, and if Propel promises to shorten your time in braces, our next lead addresses the other braces concern. How will I look during treatment? That's where 3M Incognito braces come in. Incognito hidden braces are a unique orthodontic treatment option featuring customized braces placed on the backside of the teeth where they're completely hidden from view. Incognito hidden braces can treat a full mouth, or there's even incognito hidden light that only treat the social six. The cost varies depending upon the patient, but the hidden braces are typically a little more expensive than traditional braces. A full set can be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. Again, the value proposition is obvious. They are hidden from view.
There is nothing more personal than a smile. And that's why you are the only one who needs to know that you've made the decision to straighten your teeth using a hidden treatment called Incognito braces.
I'm in an industry where I'm talking to people a lot, and if you don't want your braces seen, then these are the ones to go with.
I didn't want to be, 30 and in my braces and have everybody see it.
My entire life I had had a space in between my two front teeth, and then all of a sudden I just looked in the mirror and I was like, I don't like this anymore. I knew I wasn't going to go with the traditional braces that kids have. That wasn't even an option. That's why I chose Incognito.
Incognito hidden braces is often a better choice for moving teeth than clear aligners because it works in all cases, no matter how difficult, is hidden behind the teeth so no one can see it at all, and unlike clear aligners, Incognito hidden braces works 24/7. And the best part is, unless you tell them, nobody will know.
Well, the best way to get to the Incognito website is simply Google the name, 3M Incognito Hidden Braces. That'll get you to the Incognito part of that massive 3M website. And there you'll find an Find an Orthodontist function. Again, I'd approach this lead with a spec script. Interested in improving your smile but are put off by the thought of embarrassing braces? Introducing Incognito Hidden Braces. Include some heartfelt local testimonials and drive traffic to the web. 3M Incognito Hidden Braces. Pat?
Well, Tom, that's pretty amazing. They get him to stay on with 3M tape. Okay, we have one more teeth straightening lead for you, and it's the kind of no braces braces. It's called MyoBrace. It's a natural as straight teeth the natural way. MyoBrace is designed for children ages 5 to 15 and uses a series of removable dental appliances that are worn for a couple of hours each day and overnight while sleeping. Let's take a look at some creative for MyoBrace.
Did you know that when a child shows early signs of crooked teeth, poor facial development also occurs? The forces of the tongue, lips, cheeks, and bad oral habits greatly affect both the teeth and facial development. These problems can now be treated as early as 6 years of age. MyoBrace provides treatment options to assist with straightening your child's teeth and jaws without the need for braces or extraction. Call toll-free or visit nobracesla.com.
MyoBrace has its roots in Australia and is slowly making its way to the U.S., so it may not be in your market yet. Visit myobrace.com to find out more. Tom?
Our next lead in the dental category is something called Teeth Express, touted as secure, natural-looking teeth in as little as 1 day. Millions of Americans are missing enough teeth to require the use of a denture. In fact, over half of Americans over the age of 55 have some form of dentures. During the Teeth Express procedure, implants are surgically placed into the jaw. The denture is then secured with special prosthetic screws. The Teeth Express procedure is typically completed in 1 day and can be done under local anesthesia. Dental practices love Teeth Express because they still require maintenance and thus yearly visits back to the clinic. And best of all for the practice, they offer high profit margins. A top and bottom Teeth Express procedure can cost as much as $50,000 to $60,000 and offer a 30 to 45% margin. Here's an example of a Teeth Express commercial.
Feel good about your teeth. Feel good about yourself. Teeth Express uses advanced dental implant technology, making bridges and dentures a thing of the past. In as little as a day, we can help you to a happier, healthier smile. Change your appearance, change your life. Teeth Express, immediate results that leave a lasting impression.
And here's a dental lead we just learned about a couple of weeks ago. It's
Pat,
something called
Pat,
Trudenta.
you stepped all over me. I didn't give the website yet.
I apologize, Tom.
It's teethexpress.com. No E, teethexpress.com. All right, Pat, there you go.
Trudenta is a procedure we just came across in the last couple of weeks. It's a dental treatment that promises relief for migraines and headaches. Using a mix of sports medicine, physical therapy, and dental technology, Trudenta certified doctors examine the head, neck, and jaw to find any signs of tension that can lead to chronic headaches and migraines. Let's listen to what some dentists have to say about Trudenta and how it's helped their practice.
Within 1 or 2 appointments, they're totally better. I'm the only one that can do that. There's no one else that can do it. I don't care how many letters you have after your name. I'm the guy that can fix it. Every time they come to see me, we're the superstar. They say, thank you for giving my daughter back to me. I mean, it's just the best thing that I've ever done. We have doctors, we have neurologists, we have people from Yale New Haven Hospital emergency room sending us patients. And we get referrals from other dentists as well. We get referrals from oral surgeons. Our increase in production was pretty substantial. Once we got going, we pretty much paid the program off for the first couple months. From there, we went from just paying the program off to probably doing $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. And that was pretty easy to do. And the thing that's wonderful is everybody gets better. So it's not all about the money, but you know, you'll feel good all the way to the bank.
The most surprising, I think, is how much opportunity there is and how much we can help people and how many people really suffer.
You know, I look towards the future and think, wow, what we can do for people, there's no better way to practice dentistry than that.
All right, this is a great lead for a number of reasons. Number one, it addresses a common ailment, chronic headaches and migraines. Big opportunity here. Number two, it has a very high rate of effectiveness, boasting a 93% success rate. And 3, it's a great revenue generator for the practice. How much would a practice spend in advertising to generate an additional 40 or 50 grand a month? Well, TrueDent is relatively new, but it is already available at over 300 clinics across the U.S. So visit TrueDented.com and click on the Find a Doctor button. Tom?
Well, before we leave the dental category, we want to share some dental patient trends that will help you be more effective in this category. According to DentistryIQ.com, most online dental appointments are booked between 11:30 a.m. and 12 noon, perfect for our digital day parting. Most same-day appointments are booked on Monday, making Monday morning the perfect time to advertise, "Call this morning and we will see you today." The most popular day to book appointments is Tuesday, while Friday is the least popular, so front load the week. And January is the most popular month to make appointments, another reason to start those campaigns right now. Finally, in dental, here are 3 great web sources to check out: Dentistry IQ, Dental Buzz, and DentalEconomics.com. Pat?
Okay, Tom. We're not going to stray too far from dental with our first lead in the sleep category. It's something called MAD-JAD anti-snoring devices. Now, MAD stands for Mandibular Advancement Device, and JAD is Jaw Advancing Device. These devices are by far the most common type of dental sleep device available for the treatment of snoring and sleep apnea. They work by moving the jaw forward, which increases the size of the upper airway, thus reducing the air resistance that leads to sleep apnea and snoring. Dental devices for obstructive sleep apnea are often used as a substitute for CPAP and often used in conjunction with weight loss if the individual is overweight. The average cost for a MAD-JAD device is about $2 grand. This includes the device creation, dental visits, adjustments, follow-ups, and modifications to the appliance. Most health insurance companies and Medicare cover these devices. Let's take a look at some creative.
Do you or your partner suffer from sleep apnea or snoring and have unsuccessfully used CPAP?
Sleep apnea is a condition in which the airway is blocked, causing pauses in breathing. This can happen hundreds of times at night, disrupting sleep and causing fatigue. This custom oral appliance can be a comfortable solution to CPAP.
Dr. Schwaber fitted me with an oral appliance and I am sleeping great and I have my energy back.
Live your days to the fullest. Call Dr. David Schwaber today and see if an oral appliance is your solution to a good night's sleep.
Okay, so the value proposition is stop snoring so you and your partner can get a good night's sleep. Remember, with this singular message, you are not selling dentistry. You are selling a stop snoring solution for better sleep. And you want to position as an alternative to the bulky, unattractive CPAP device. Keep in mind, there are plenty of order online and over-the-counter oral devices that promise to end snoring, so your provider also has to position themselves as better than those options. To find a MAD-JAD provider in your market, simply Google anti-snoring dentist in my market and see who is addressing this need. I love how the dentist in our creative example owns the domain ctsleepdentist.com, Connecticut Sleep Dentist. I'd find out who in my market wants to be the sleep dentist and help them secure mytownsleepdentist.com. You can also check out insnore.com. They make these prescription oral devices, and you can request a list of dentists in your area that do prescribe them. Tom?
Okay, Pat. Here's a much more dramatic answer to sleep apnea. It's something called Inspire Sleep Therapy. Inspire Therapy is actually an implant treatment for people with sleep apnea. While you are sleeping, the system delivers mild stimulation to key airway muscles, keeping them open during sleep. Pretty shocking, right? Well, let's take a look at their video.
I keep the remote control right next to my bed. I simply just reach over and turn it on every night and go off to sleep 30 minutes later, and I don't wake up when it starts and activates. And very easy to use. It's like push a button and go to sleep.
Inspire Therapy is a new treatment for obstructive sleep apnea. As a physician, what I really like about this therapy is that it addresses the root cause of the problem. During sleep, the muscles and soft tissues of the throat can relax, block the airway, and cause apnea events. The Inspire device delivers mild stimulation to these key airway muscles and gently moves the tongue and other soft tissues out of the airway so you can breathe at night. You can see in this animation what it looks like. The back of the airway is now clear and the patient can breathe during sleep. We're using proven technologies that are used every day with other similar medical devices, and now we're just applying them to treat sleep apnea. It's a very simple concept, and it's all under control of the patient with the sleep remote. You turn it on at night before you go to sleep and off when you wake up.
It's a way of life that's very simple to incorporate. It's like getting up and brushing your teeth every day.
So think of the Inspire device as kind of like a sleep pacemaker. The Inspire sleep therapy device received its FDA approval in May of 2014, and in August of this year, they announced over 1,000 implants in the U.S. Visit inspiresleep.com and click on the Connect with a Doctor tab, or use their View a List of Clinics by State function to see who's doing this in your market. Pat?
Wow, a sleep pacemaker? That is amazing. Okay, sleep centers, sleep solutions, that's big business and a great category for us to prospect. Okay, Tom, another collection of great leads. Now, another Med Talk with John Hannon.
In the healthcare environment now, and it's become very competitive, as we mentioned, or we talked about earlier, places want to separate themselves from their competitors. And they're doing that by clinical, they're using the terms like clinical outcomes and patient satisfaction metrics. If you can relate that to your business and kind of do the same thing, like, hey, we've done this with this group or this customer, here's the outcomes, here's the metric, the data that we've captured, and we believe we can translate that right to your business, that's going to get them interested.
We're back to that all too familiar buzzword, outcomes. Have you ever heard the quote, facts tell but stories sell? Well, that is absolutely true when presenting to medical providers. And the best way to present outcomes is through stories in case studies, testimonials, and videos. I have personally witnessed as account executives with less than 6 months in our industry show a combination of 3, 4, or 5 case studies and testimonials and videos in a presentation. The sale is then closed almost as simply as sliding the signature sheet across the table to the client. They let the stories do the heavy lifting, as in, I understand your challenge, someone else had that challenge, here's what they did, and here's the positive outcome. Superstar digital and television sellers understand how to tap into a client's emotional drivers and can justify how their proposed solution is going to deliver outcomes to satisfy the needs.
Most of what really drives physicians and other healthcare professionals are intangibles. And generally, I find it's these 3 things. It's need, greed, and fear. Doctors will oftentimes try to assert that they are people of science, which is true. You know, medicine is science. It's both art and science. But for example, when you share a case study, the doctor may say, well, do you have any data? I mean, do you have that in writing? And you may or you may not. But here's the thing. When you have a compelling success story about someone who does what that doctor does, for example, if you're talking to a plastic surgeon and you're talking about another plastic surgeon, if you're talking to a neurologist and it's another neurologist, or if you're talking about someone who is the chief physician in a multi-physician group, it's hard for them not to listen to a story about someone who does what they do, who is succeeding in a big way. So they may try to skew it where if you can't present the data, I'm not interested in your story. But believe me, they will hear the story, and oftentimes they will ask questions, and this is a great way to generate interest about the solutions that you offer.
So a doctor's emotional drivers are need, fear, and greed. And it's your role to help the decision maker understand that your plan or service is something they need in their practice, because it has been proven that the patients benefit, that the practice benefits, that there are positive outcomes, and that they will have a better standing in the community. To play to fear, show pointed case studies, successful testimonials, or commercials to get the doctor to question if they are practicing at the high level at which many of their colleagues are practicing. And lastly, play to the positive side of greed, as in your solution helps to keep their practice profitable. That way they can continue to give their patients the type of care that they would like them to have. We've got more Code Red, but right now, let's take a 10-minute intermission.
All right. Oh, very good. Hey, welcome back. And we're going to present our section called Digital Insights. And so, as those of you who are watching can, you don't have to advance the teleprompter too much, bring it back a little bit. Take some pictures. If you're sitting around your conference room now enjoying Code Red, and hopefully we've given you a bunch of leads already, we have the best ones yet to come, take some pictures and post them to our Facebook page. We'd appreciate that, and let us know that you're enjoying the show. So, speaking of digital, we know that every category we encounter has been affected by digital technology, and maybe none more dramatically than healthcare. Digital changes are all over the healthcare profession, from electronic health records to a myriad of patient-empowering websites. There's no denying the digital impact on this category. In this section, we'll take a look at how you can help your healthcare clients and prospects with your digital toolkit. Pat?
Okay, Tom, many in our audience today are realizing that digital is the front door with healthcare prospects. I find in my travels that I'm just as likely to have a deep digital conversation as I am to have a traditional advertising conversation in the doctor's office. So let's start our conversation with every medical practice's new competitor, Dr. Google. Search is the go-to source for most bodies of knowledge these days, and health is by no means an exception. According to Google, prior to booking a medical appointment, 77% of patients used search, 50% have used healthcare information sites, and 26% have used consumer-generated review sites. The most commonly researched topics are specific diseases or conditions, treatments or procedures, and doctors or other healthcare professionals. And while the frequency of mobile searches is increasing, time spent on searches is decreasing. In these quick, search-driven interactions, consumers expect businesses to address their needs with real-time relevance. Google calls these micro moments. Your healthcare prospect is fully aware of the importance of search and social. In fact, according to Pew Research, 34% of internet users have read someone else's commentary or experience about health or medical issues online. We need to help our healthcare clients understand that social media is an opportunity to connect with their patients outside of office hours, and you have the tools that can help. Tom?
Search targeting and retargeting are powerful tools to help your healthcare clients find potential patients. And remember, the key is not just the targeting, but the creative as well. For example, here's an idea that we've executed successfully in several markets. It's a simple $25 sports physical offer targeted at moms using mobile. Great campaign that brings in new faces and is trackable because they specifically ask for the $25 sports physical. Retargeting is a great tool, but don't forget about that call to action in the creative. Pat?
Okay, Tom, here's another digital campaign that we have executed in multiple markets that addresses one of healthcare's biggest challenges, the nursing shortage. And it utilizes one of our favorite digital tools, geofencing. So let me set the stage. America's 3 million nurses make up the largest segment of healthcare workforce in the U.S., but demand is outpacing supply. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 1.2 million vacancies will emerge for registered nurses between now and 2022. The quote spin, the aging population and chronic disease are creating the perfect storm driving demand for nurses. I would imagine if you asked your hospital, clinics, and care providers, is nurse recruitment an issue for you? You'll probably get a resounding yes. Now, you may have a solution in your digital toolkit right now, geofencing. Many nurses decide to look for a new position because they are unhappy with their shift time, their conditions, even their colleagues. Geofencing hospitals and clinics allows you to deliver a targeted message at the greatest point of impact. Allied Services, a healthcare provider in Pennsylvania, had tremendous success using mobile banners that were geofenced around the various hospitals in the area. perfect for targeting nurses using their mobile phones on their breaks. The creative hit all the pain points: flexible hours and shifts and highly competitive pay. Well, the results were amazing. Over 1,000 potential employees were sent to the application portion of their site, and the campaign ended up with a 0.25 click-through rate, and the client has since run this campaign an additional 2 times and plans to continue to use this strategy. Again, we have replicated this strategy in multiple markets. Tom?
Other digital favorites include reputation management tools. Yelp, healthgrades.com, ratemds.com, Facebook are just a few sites patients can go to and extol their great experience or complain about their healthcare treatment. If you have a reputation management tool, it's a great way to protect your client, and we strongly suggest you recommend it, even if they have favorable reviews. And help your healthcare provider with social media management to build their fan base. We have a complete social media checklist for you to download as part of our downloadable tools from today's show. You'll hear about that at the conclusion. Use pre-roll and banners on your station website. As we learned in our dental section, most online appointments are booked between 11:30 and noon the first few days of the week. So day part your pre-roll and banner campaigns early week. You know, there may be no bigger category than healthcare where you are as much a digital seller as you are a traditional seller. Now, we've identified the most popular digital tools: SEM, reputation management, geo-targeting, and geofencing. You need to gather your local healthcare digital success case studies. That's what your new healthcare prospect wants to see. Remember, these are scientists. They want proof. And always ask about the value of their own website. What % of new patients went to your website before they called? What are your most trafficked pages? How are you converting site traffic? Once you've established the importance of their online presence, you're set up for a good tradigital recommended strategy. So, check out the online healthcare resources that we'll provide for you at the end of today's show. They're loaded with digital case studies, and strategize with your digital sales director before you present to maximize the best tools in your digital toolbox. Now here's John with our final Med Talk of the day.
Hey guys, a lot of stations have been sending us messages. Thank you so much for your messages and posting on Facebook. But go to our Facebook page. WITN in Greenville has just blown the top off of the competition for great pictures today. They're all wearing their doctor's masks, their red shirts for Code Red, their gloves, their signs. Thank you. That is cool. Everybody can check that out on our Facebook page. Hey, it's time to alert you to 4 sales mistakes in the healthcare category that we've yet to discuss. The first mistake is your default of being product-centered, as opposed to outcome-based in your discussions with medical decision makers. Look, I know you're proud that you're number 1 with 13-year-olds at 2 a.m. on Tuesdays, but quite honestly, the healthcare professional you're speaking with could care less. Instead, you need to differentiate yourself from your media competitors. Highlight your presentations with things that are important to the doctors. Don't utilize your time with these decision makers clouding their minds with television ratings lingo. Tap into what they care about and how you can deliver more of the good stuff they need and want. Specifically, what's in it for the patient? What are the outcomes?
Doctors don't want to talk about drugs or side effects or materials or even the free lunches. They want to talk about what's good for my patients. And so you had to find a way to always bring it back to what's in it for the patient, even more so than what's in it for the doctor. They're being measured by that more and more by the insurance companies. So outcome-based medicine is the future in terms of reimbursement, as well as a good doctor is more concerned about what's best for his patient and making sure that his patient gets the right treatment than he is necessarily counting every dollar of every office visit.
When thinking of the second sales mistake, lack of preparation, I'm reminded of one of my favorite quotes from legendary former UCLA basketball coach John Wooden. He stated, "Failing to prepare is preparing to fail." The same advice applies when prospecting this category. You'll get precious little time with these healthcare decision makers, so you'd better bring your A game. Prepare, study the industry, the marketplace, the category, and the competition. Learn to pronounce procedures like hyperhidrosis or ankylosing spondylitis properly. And come armed with case studies and proof of outcomes from the doctor's colleagues, otherwise known as competitors in this advertising category.
Most sales reps don't prepare. And here's the reason why. They feel very comfortable. They've given the presentation tens of times, hundreds of times, so they don't feel like they need to study the presentation anymore. But this level of comfort really turns into complacency. And the risk of complacency goes back to what we talked about. It's so critically important if you're going into a practice or any business, which is seeing 20 to 30 sales reps a day, you must differentiate yourself. And if you don't prepare, how are you going to do that? How can you approach a window cold and provide a sense that you know something about the practice? How can you say anything, ask any relevant questions, or resonate with the people in that practice?
The third sales mistake really struck me, as I'd never considered it before doing research for today's show. Don't let the doctor think you are smarter than they are.
I think the most important thing to realize is that healthcare really is different. I think businesses, almost any business today, has critical elements and critical aspects to it. But healthcare, you're dealing with people's lives. And when you're talking about doctors and other healthcare professionals, and even those who really manage healthcare professionals, you're talking about people who are highly educated. They're truly experts in their world. And there's a lot of sales resistance when you first approach these people. Generally speaking, they see salespeople as less than themselves. I mean, in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their expertise. And one of the things I always tell salespeople is that you can't tell a doctor what to do, because in the doctor's domain, he or she is king. They're the ones with the schooling, they're the ones with the credentials, and they really do call the shots. I mean, unless a doctor orders a test or prescribes a treatment, nothing really happens in healthcare. So when you're approaching these people, you have to be able to approach them in a way where you're not really telling them what to do or suggesting to them what to do, but you're going to engage them in a conversation to help them to realize, to have these aha moments on their own.
It's absolutely amazing to me the volume of work that some of you are willing to do, and then after a few calls, a weak attempt at a close is attempted, if a close is attempted at all. And then you stop calling on the practice. How do I know this? Well, because the calls come to our world headquarters in Sarasota and they sound something like this. Hey John, I've made 3 calls on the doctor and I didn't close anything. What did I do wrong? Hopefully by now you know the answer to that question. It's sales mistake number 4, failing to follow up.
It's not your typical sales cycle, so don't let yourself get discouraged by the fact that they've put you off a couple of times. We all know persistence in sales is what wins, but persistence in healthcare is an absolute requirement.
Follow-up is critical in healthcare because on almost every sales call you're going to find yourself in a follow-up situation. Follow-up for most salespeople is an afterthought. Most people follow up this way. Yeah, hey, this is Bob from XYZ Medical. I was there last week. I'm calling to follow up. How far does a follow-up call like that get? Usually doesn't get anywhere. Most people struggle. Follow-up is an integral part of the sales process. In fact, it's probably the most important part of the sales process in healthcare because you're almost guaranteed to find yourself in a follow-up situation. So plan follow-up before you ever go to make the call because you're almost assured that you're going to be in a follow-up situation if you were lucky enough to get in to have that first meeting, or I should say when you get in to have that first meeting. If you're persistent, you will. If you elevate your selling skills, you will get in.
I absolutely love the statement from David McCormick. Persistence in sales is what wins, but persistence in healthcare is an absolute requirement. As I said in the first Med Talk today, yes, the healthcare advertising category can have a long sales cycle, but if you work it properly, the payoff for you can be huge. The question is, are you willing to put in the work to get to the payoff? I know you are, and I can't wait to hear your healthcare sales success stories. To close our last Med Talk of today's program, I'd like to give the final word to our panel of guests.
In healthcare in particular, though, you have to understand that the industry is going through a tremendous amount of change. It's evolving very quickly, and there's still a fair amount of confusion, let's say, in the healthcare industry about where are we going? What direction are we heading? The nuances of the healthcare law, things like that. So to the degree that you can understand that, to empathize with that, to be a good listener and understand the challenges that your customer has, and then be a solution provider. How can we partner together to navigate some of these uncharted waters, help you be successful, and grow a long-term relationship?
Don't let the past influence your future. If you've called on some healthcare in the past and you haven't been successful, or you feel like it's too big an investment in time, analyze a couple of things for yourself. First of all, remember the healthcare industry changes every day. Healthcare and computers are probably the two parts of our economy that have the most change on a daily basis, literally. And so if you did a timeout call with an orthodontist a year ago and they didn't show any interest and you think they're a dead prospect, go back and try again, because so much changes.
In pharmaceutical sales, you're basically there to assist them in caring for the patient with some type of pharmaceutical intervention. But when you come in with media sales, you're there to help them make money. Now, when you think about it from the medical provider's perspective, this is an area that they are not used to being in terms of a competitive landscape, if you will. In many professions, it was, I don't want to use the word taboo, but it certainly wasn't at their forefront that they needed to aggressively market their practice. Now, in the landscape that they're in now, it's necessary. It's necessary for them to make money. They can no longer sit back and wait for perhaps a referral or for a patient to get sick and call on them. They have to aggressively go after those patients, because if they don't, someone else will.
Don't be afraid of healthcare. Will it be challenging? Sure. But any sale is challenging. There's always going to be those challenges. But if you're armed with the right tools, the right value prop, the right terminology, the proof, okay, I think those doors are going to be opening more and more than they probably have in the past 5 to 10 years.
Wow, John, great stuff. In fact, many of you out there have heard me say and preach, persistence reduces resistance. Okay, it's time for our last set of leads. We've already covered great categories like cosmetics, weight loss, dental, and sleep. In our final section, we're going to simply call this the best of the rest. And it's our rapid-fire hodgepodge set of healthcare hot leads. So, Tom, why don't you start with a lead I know that you are really excited about? Tom?
Yeah, Pat, I think this is my favorite lead of the day, and it centers around germ-zapping robots. Hear me out. Would you believe me if I told you that the same number of people die from hospital-acquired infections, known as HAIs, as from AIDS, breast cancer, and auto accidents combined? Well, it's true. These infections, such as MRSA, more commonly known as staph infection, and C. diff, can devastate and even kill patients. According to the CDC, 1 in every 25 U.S. patients will contract an HAI, and of those, 1 in 9 will die. HAIs cost the healthcare industry upwards of $30 billion annually. I could share more uncomfortable statistics with you. Instead, I'll simply share this.
My name is Olive Davis. I was very ill when I went to the hospital with a UTI. But by the time I'd been there, a week and a half, it was definitely under control. And I would like to have left, and I could have left, but along came C. diff. Well, it's horrible. It's just terrible. It drains everything out of you. It's like being in a long, black tunnel. You just feel like the end will never come. I imagine that I had the C. diff for about 6 to 8 weeks. It was quite an ordeal to find the right antibiotic. We finally did, and it cost $3,000 for a 10-day supply. And that was rather a shock also. I do see my kidney specialist. She's very reluctant to put me on any antibiotic for fear that it will cause C. diff again. And that would be a real blow. It is horrible. It really is.
It's the kind of medical hygiene you'd expect to see in a science fiction movie.
Germ zapping robots.
Hospital officials say it's 20 times more effective than your typical chemical cleaner.
That robot will cut the infection rate anywhere from 50 to 90%.
Well, who doesn't have a story about someone who went into a hospital and came out in worse shape, or tragically, never came out at all? Xenex is considered the leader in hospital disinfection, and one of their unique products is their full-spectrum UV germ zapping robot. The robot used by more hospitals than any other device for no-touch room disinfection. Now, here's how Xenex promotes themselves. Take a look.
Sometime in your life, you might need surgery on a joint, knee, or hip. For 1 in 25 patients, a trip to the hospital ends with an infection that could kill them. It's an epidemic we can stop. Our Light Strike germ zapping robots kill dangerous superbugs and pathogens with blasts of intense xenon light. Hospitals using Light Strike robots have peer-reviewed studies showing infection reductions of 50 to 100%. Make sure your hospital has Light Strike germ zapping robots.
So why is it that all our hospitals want to talk about is their kind, caring staff? It's our people that make the difference. Instead of telling me about your people, why don't you tell me about your germ zapping robots? As a prospective patient, that has much greater value to me than some kind, caring staff blah blah. In fact, take a look at how this healthcare facility branded Louie, their germ zapping differentiator.
Louie is a germ zapping robot. We have Louie to help zap as many germs as possible. Springfield Clinic Ambulatory Surgery and Endoscopy Center, we do a wide range of outpatient surgeries, colonoscopies and upper endoscopies. We purchased Louie to become part of our team to help keep our infection rate extremely low. Just one of the tools we added to some of our other state-of-the-art equipment to help us keep our patients safe.
If you go to Xenex.com, you'll find all kinds of information on Xenex, the company, HAIs, and hospital disinfection. They don't offer a convenient Find a Hospital tab, but you can either submit online or call to see who has these germ-zapping game changers in your market. Pat?
Thanks, Tom. Pretty cool stuff. Let's continue on with cutting-edge technology, and here's a question for our boomer audience. If you could forever do away with your readers, would you? Well, your opportunity is here. It's called the Raindrop Near Vision Inlay by Revision Optics. Thanks to this newly approved solution, we are all about a 5-minute procedure away from saying goodbye to our cheaters. The blurry world of farsightedness caused by aging affects 110 million Americans, usually beginning around the age of 40. That blurry vision is caused by the eye losing flexibility, and everyone gets this. Whether you're nearsighted, farsighted, or even had LASIK surgery, it's just part of getting older. The Raindrop Inlay is a tiny implant that helps your cornea focus better, especially for the farsighted. The procedure takes less than 5 minutes, It costs about $3,000, and today it's not covered by insurance. Right now, though, only a handful of ophthalmologists offer the raindrop implant, those that went through the clinical trials. But it should be widely available in 2017. Here's how some of the first movers are presenting this option. Let's look.
Every single person out there will experience presbyopia. I'm Dr. Brett Fisher. I'm the medical director of the Eye Center of North Florida. Corneal inlays like the raindrop have really now given us a new way to preserve distance vision, add back in some reading and even some intermediate distance vision.
The raindrop near vision inlay is placed in the front part of your eye in a simple LASIK-like procedure. Once in place, it reshapes your cornea to improve your near vision.
Folks that are in their 40s and 50s now have a solution to restore the full range of vision.
Okay, again, this implant and procedure just received its FDA approval just a few months ago. So this is still in the early adopter stage. You may have seen it featured on national news and morning shows in September. It really got a lot of attention. Visit revisionoptics.com to learn more and click on the Find Your Specialist tab to find your local physician. Now look, if you don't find a local provider right away, keep this high on your radar screen as the number of providers is expected to grow quite quickly. Tom?
Well, our next lead is the latest in pain relief lasers. It's called the K-laser. K-laser therapy is the use of specific wavelengths of light to stimulate the body's natural ability to heal. This particular laser is targeted to the weekend warrior in need of pain relief and healing. It can be used for acute pain and only require a few treatments. It can be used for chronic pain and may require a dozen treatments or more. And it can be used for ongoing care for things like arthritis. Here's a sample of creative.
Do you suffer from an injury, joint pain, back pain, or even arthritis? K-Laser Pain Management can help. We offer a non-invasive, drug-free, surgery-free alternative to relieve your pain with state-of-the-art Class 4 laser technology. K-Laser Pain Management has 2 offices in Asheville and Black Mountain. Call today and your consultation is free. You have nothing to lose but your pain. Call K-Laser Pain Management today and get back to the active life you enjoy.
To find out if the K-laser therapy is offered in your market, visit k-laser.com. Don't forget the hyphen, k-laser.com. And you'll notice when you get to k-laser.com, there'll be 4 options: patients, medical professionals, veterinary professionals, and pet owners. Yep, K-laser therapy is available for pets too. So I suggest starting on the patient site to find a local provider, but you may want to explore the pet owner site to find out if any veterinarians in your market offer K-laser therapy. Pat?
Wow, people are pets? That's a 2-for-1 lead, folks. Nice, Tom. Well, you know, Tom, it's amazing what healthcare is doing these days with balloons. In the past, we've shared all kinds of balloon procedure leads. Balloon sinuplasty, gastric balloons, balloon angioplasty. Well, there's another. It's called Kyphon balloon kyphoplasty. Balloon kyphoplasty is a minimally invasive procedure that can repair spinal fractures. This procedure is really targeted to our older population who have back pain. They may have fractured a vertebrae and not even know it. Simple tasks like reaching for a remote or hitting a bump on the road while you're driving it could trigger that dreaded pop in the spine that signals a fractured vertebrae. The procedure takes about an hour and can be done on an outpatient basis. Let's look. During the procedure, orthopedic balloons are used to gently elevate the fractured vertebrae. Once in position, the balloon is slowly inflated to gently raise the collapsed bone into its normal position. The balloon is then removed and bone cement is injected to stabilize the fracture. To learn more, go to back.com, which is an educational site driven by Medtronic, the creator of balloon kyphoplasty. Now, the site covers all kinds of back pain topics, including a section on balloon kyphoplasty where you can check and find a specialist near you. Here's an example of balloon kyphoplasty creative.
Are you a woman over 50? Had sudden onset back pain? You may have a spinal fracture. There's good news. Spinal fractures, or vertebral compression fractures, can now be treated with an advanced minimally invasive procedure, Kyphon balloon kyphoplasty, that lasts less than an hour. Most patients in 2 different Medtronic-sponsored studies experienced significant pain reduction within 1 week.
Tom, balloons, not just for birthday parties anymore. Take it away.
Okay, moving right along. Our next lead is a new medical opportunity which could mean huge money for the hospitals that offer it. Our senior consultant Perry Kapeloff recently discovered something called TIF, or transoral incisionless fundoplication. TIF represents the next step in the field of minimally invasive surgery for the treatment of GERD, more commonly known as acid reflux. The procedure is minimally invasive and treated as an outpatient procedure. While the procedure is in the $20,000 range, the reason it is so profitable to the hospital is that a series of endoscopes are performed to check things like gallstones, Barrett's disease, and other issues, which are covered by insurance. The hospital Perry met with said they could net well over $30,000 from just one patient. The TIF procedure itself this year finally received an insurance payment code of its own. Here's a creative example.
Do you have heartburn, also known as acid reflux? Are you taking the purple pill and still having trouble eating? Do you still have trouble sleeping because your reflux is waking you up? Now there's a better option, the TIF procedure. It's incisionless and scar-free. By restoring the barrier between the esophagus and stomach, the TIF procedure helps eliminate those bothersome reflux symptoms. You'll be eating and drinking foods you've avoided for years, and no more purple pills. To find out more, call 570-8585.
Currently, over 30 million Americans are prescribed some kind of reflux medicine, including Nexium, the purple pill. With the TIF procedure, most patients are off those meds in 3 months. Right now, very few doctors are performing the TIF procedure, but the ones that do see a major boom coming. To learn more about TIF, go to gerdhelp.com. There is a find a physician function. Pat?
Well, Tom, this next lead is more of a healthcare subcategory that is undergoing dramatic changes that present opportunity for our traditional and digital services. In healthcare, DME stands for Durable Medical Equipment. Durable medical equipment is any equipment that provides therapeutic benefit. DME includes things like wheelchairs, power scooters, hospital beds, canes, crutches, walkers, oxygen, and more. And these are typically prescribed by a physician, and insurance companies will provide coverage for durable medical equipment when it is determined to be medically necessary. Well, therein lies our opportunity. Reimbursements have changed dramatically in this category. For example, for years, many home medical equipment companies have relied on oxygen to drive their business. Well, starting in 2016, Medicare payments for oxygen have been cut by 24%. This dramatic decrease is causing many home medical equipment companies to look for other revenue streams besides oxygen, and that's where we can help them find some other focus and strategy. Some operators are moving into the mobility market. Interesting stat. About 1/3 of the population over the age of 65 falls each year, and the risk of falls increases proportionately with age. DME and home medical equipment operators call it the $10,000 cane. It all starts when an elderly person walks in their store looking to buy a 3 or 4 prong cane. The cane leads to a walker, the walker leads to a wheelchair, and the wheelchair leads to a power chair. So interestingly, this $20 to $40 point of entry sale can lead to many more sales and service opportunities. Here's a quick example.
At Affordable Medical Supply, we know every person has unique needs, and we have products to help make life easier. We carry a full line of Nova walkers, canes, and bathroom safety equipment. Keep moving with Nova. Affordable Medical Supply, making your life easier.
Okay, there is a website, cps.gov, for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. There's a search functionality, type in fee schedule DME, and you'll get the updated reimbursement information for various home medical equipment. Hey, now's a great time to call on your local medical equipment retailer, ask about declining insurance reimbursements, and find out what they may want to focus on. It could be mobility, they want to focus on diabetic shoes possibly, lift chairs, CPAPs, or some other DME. Great opportunity for us. Tom?
Well, one of the most common cancers in men is also one of the most curable, and early detection can make all the difference when it comes to surviving prostate cancer. The PSA test via annual blood work has been the standard in prostate cancer detection. There is now a procedure that is poised to become the new standard in prostate care called the UroNav Fusion Biopsy System. This revolutionary new test can better pinpoint trouble spots and lead to a quicker prostate cancer diagnosis. All you have to do is mention prostate cancer, and men over the age of 50 shudder. This fusion biopsy system is a significant improvement in prostate care, and the word needs to get out. Here's how one clinic is introducing this breakthrough.
Men, listen up. Are you concerned about prostate cancer or elevated PSA? The urology team is first in Central Texas to offer the newest technology to diagnose prostate cancer, the UroNav Fusion Biopsy System. The UroNav, combined with prostate MRI imaging, helps us precisely target and biopsy suspicious areas that may be missed. UroNav, more precisely detecting prostate cancer. Learn more at urologyteam.com.
To learn more about UroNav Fusion Biopsy, visit invivocorp.com. That's the company that makes the technology. Unfortunately, they don't have a simple Find a Provider tab on their website, so you can inquire via their Contact Us navigation, or you can simply Google UroNav Fusion Biopsy, your town, and see if any useful results appear. Pat?
Well, thanks, Tom. That wraps up our hot new healthcare leads for this year. We've given you plenty to work on, but before we wrap up, let's revisit some of our more favorite leads from last year's Healthcare Mega Payday with our final Mega Payday Spotlight. Tom?
Well, last year, we fittingly ended our Healthcare Mega Payday event with the CRH O'Regan hemorrhoid treatment. And maybe we earned a smile and a wink from you. But how many of you turned that hemorrhoid treatment lead into money? And if you don't think finding a hemorrhoid advertiser was worth your time, I invite you to meet Rich Poindexter.
I saw a Midwest Hemorrhoid Treatment Center. They were doing some advertising. So I called them up. I spoke with Frank, who is the CFO, makes all the marketing decisions for him. And I got a meeting. We did a diagnosis call. And I said, hey, listen, give me 2 months of your Valpak, and I will assure you that we will deliver more leads through Fox 4 than what you're getting currently with Valpak. And he said, sure. And after that first month, we had already exceeded what they were bringing in from Valpak. After that, they continued to be a television advertiser for us, and it's just a great story. They don't really do a whole lot of things marketing-wise. I mean, they either get the referrals from the doctors, or they're doing television, or they're doing digital. So those basically, so they only have a few things that basically bring all the leads in for the different clinic. And I will tell you, 67% of the leads that they bring in at Midwest Hemorrhoid Treatment Center, they come from television. Most Americans at some point in their life are going to be affected by a hemorrhoid. It sounds funny, but it's true, particularly baby boomers. And so the opportunity exists out there. And it's not a taboo subject because Preparation H has been talking about this on television for a long time. But surprisingly enough, in so many markets, nobody's doing it on television. Kansas City is just a great story. They started with 1 location. Now they have 3 locations. They have 2 locations in Kansas City, and they expanded to the St. Louis market. And they're absolutely killing it. If you have this problem, that's probably one of the first things that you're thinking about when you wake up. And so early morning advertising is very effective. Mondays are particularly great because, you know, strenuous activity and things like that, obviously, it makes these things flare. And when that happens, obviously, you do more activity over the weekend. So Monday is a great day to be running that advertising. It's actually, that is one of their busiest days. Frank, the CFO, came up with just an amazing tagline, and it's one that they trademarked, and it's "Don't suffer in silence." And the whole theme is, hey, listen, you know, most people suffer from this, so don't suffer in silence. Go get it treated. So, but that one's trademarked, so nobody can steal that one.
Painful hemorrhoids? Surgery isn't the only answer. Doctors at Midwest Hemorrhoid Treatment Center use the latest in non-surgical hemorrhoid treatment, infrared coagulation. Covered by most insurance, it's painless, fast, effective, allowing most patients to resume their normal routine immediately. Get on with your life.
Midwest Hemorrhoid Treatment Center. Don't suffer in silence.
On North New Bellis Road in Creve Coeur, call 991-9888 today.
They've looked into expanding into even more markets, and that's something that they might potentially do. And that wouldn't be the case if it wasn't profitable, you know, with all these different changes that have come down from healthcare. Well, initially they started out and they were just doing pre-roll and live stream. They're very successful, and now they've expanded into SEM. Because of the nature of their business, it's not a really competitive field, so it's very easy, and if it's the same way it is in the other markets, it's very easy to dominate this market basically with the digital platform, particularly with SEM, because it's not extremely competitive. And that also means that it's not going to cost them as much to completely dominate that category. This literally, for markets that do not have an advertiser on TV, this is a softball. I mean, literally getting ready to be hit over the fence, because it's a home run. It is. Use Kansas City as the success story. One location. Now they have 3 locations. And basically all they do is television and digital. Yes, of course they get some referrals from doctors, but 67% of those leads that they get, hundreds of leads, just from television. So first mover advantage, I mean, that's what we've always been told. And if you don't have it in the market, I mean, you're going to be a hero. This is a home run. Every market should have a hemorrhoid clinic on the air. So if you're in one of those markets that does not, you need to get out, you need to get on it.
Wow. Rich Poindexter from Kansas City reminds us that action always trumps knowledge. Well, Tom, what a great job you've done as the executive producer of this. So I think it's only appropriate that you be the one to take us out.
Thank you, Jim. So there you have it. From germ zapping robots and stomach drains to hidden braces and hemorrhoids, we've given you plenty of healthcare leads to work on. And we've given you the selling strategies that work in this category. I hope you're as excited for 2017 as we are, and I hope we've convinced you that there is no bigger new business category to attack than healthcare. We had fun bringing you this show, but now, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to turn these leads and lessons into money? Because now it's about implementing a healthcare selling strategy plan after the show. These leads and lessons mean nothing until you do something with them. So, to our AEs watching right now, who's going to call on what leads? Who will subscribe to what newsletters and educate the team? Who's going to collect the success stories and share them throughout the staff? And managers, will you role play cold calls, diagnosis questions, and presentations in your sales meetings? Will you set new business healthcare goals, maybe budgets? Hey, there's a big difference between we should call on healthcare in 2017 and I have a $100,000 healthcare new business budget for 2017. We want to help you dominate this category, so we've already prepared various tools, and they're all ready to download right now at jimdoyle.com/code-red. Password code red. You can download our healthcare advertising calendar to assist your prospecting efforts. You can download the entire list of leads with websites from last year's Healthcare Mega Payday. There's a complete list of leads with websites from today's Code Red event. We've prepared a list of healthcare diagnosis questions. We've put together a Train the Staff document to help you train the medical practice staff on how to properly prepare for their advertising campaign. There's a healthcare social media checklist. And we've assembled a list of free healthcare websites and newsletters to keep you up to date on all things healthcare. It's all at jimdoyle.com/code-red. Finally, let's end with this story. Just last week, I reached out to an AE to follow up on a healthcare proposal he'd given. The AE informed me that the client said no. He said they felt they were morally above advertising. Morally above advertising. I hope that offends you as much as it offends me. Morally above advertising. Is the Mayo Clinic immoral for advertising how they help cancer patients? They do. Is your local children's hospital immoral when they advertise how they help sick kids? How about your healthcare clients should feel morally obligated to advertise? If they've got a product, a procedure, a service that can help people improve outcomes, why wouldn't they feel obligated to get the word out? And you can help them do that because nobody should suffer in silence. Now you're armed with healthcare lessons and leads. Now go help get the word out and help with outcomes and revive those flatlined healthcare revenues. Thanks for joining us today.